to expect Professor Ken to join me on the show right now. But having expect Professor Ken to join, one of the key strategic issues that the federal government is concerning this national single window is that it's going to help Nigeria to boost revenue. Revenue in the sense that the money that will come into the port out of the economy will be streamlined into the federal government ports, and particularly also it's another window opportunity to increase the feasibility of government policy in that part of our economy. And not to forget that we have African continental free trade, which is also connected to this particular national single window that the federal government is promoting to ensure we have a smooth, digitalized, as well as well-informed policy at our port entry and exit in Nigeria. And another aspect of it, which the federal government is also pushing, is that with this process and this policy, it will enhance digitalization of the Nigerian port system. Digitalization in the sense that it will not be automated. There will be less physical appearance at the port. Rather, it will be automated in a way that through digital payment can be done as forth. Right now, we have Professor Ken joining me. A very good day to you, Prof.
Oh, hi, good morning. Oh, good afternoon, I beg your pardon.
Exactly. I also have to quickly apologize for keeping you this late. But let's get straight to the discussion of, at this point in time, National Single Window Project. Prof, what is all this about?
Now, in 2010, that was the deadline for the implementation of National Single Window. And at that point, I was actually at 2011, I was the United Kingdom DFID trade advisor to Nigerian government. So my major job was to help Nigeria, the accession to WTO trade agreement. And I worked on the development of the national action plan. But then part of the thing was this single window. So I went around meeting different ministers, and the minister that showed the highest cooperation with me is the former Minister of Finance. He's around. He's actually the chairman of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated.
That is Samsudin.
Yeah. So that was what happened. So we started having all these meetings with customs and everything, and the trade and industry. But the customs were in this contract with a company called Web Fontaine, a very long-term contract, and it was so frustrating. But I continued to press this matter, minister after minister, from 2010. So anyway, what is national single window? There's also another version called regional single window. National single window is an electronic platform where all the statutory requirements and all the technical SPS, all the whole thing required for trade, to facilitate trade, are all entered into, and the agencies, all the trade governance agencies' requirements, all of them are reflected electronically. So, because in Nigeria, we have more than 16 agencies that intervene when you are importing goods. You have the ones that deal with drug enforcement. You have NAFDAC, you have SON, you have there are many of them. That's really Port Health, NPA, Post Authority. There are many. There are only 16. So the state country keeps going forward and backwards. We don't want you there. We only want 3 people. But in the end of the day, it should end with a single window where you have an electronic platform where anything you want to export, when you make your submission, all of those agencies will look and review what you are asking to export, and then they will all electronically issue their certificates. And then assessments are done by customs of the value of the things you have to pay. You actually go ahead and make the payment. Now, once all that is all okay from Nigerian perspective, they will now send it to the customs of the country where you want to export from. Let me say, for example, if you are importing from London. If you are importing from London, these documents are now sent to them. They will carry out their own checks, and then when they are completely happy, they will okay it. Now, once it is okayed, your goods will now enter the seaport. Your goods are not even supposed to come onto the ship until everything is cleared. So once it's cleared, you have all the okay, then your goods will go into the ship. As soon as it lands, you have no business with anybody. you just take your goods. Because all necessary checks would have been done in advance. Now, what happened was that all the ECOWAS countries, like the ones in the seaports with Benin, Togo, Ghana, all of them, they all complied. And they all complied and built there. In fact, the first was Senegal. So they all complied. And because Nigeria kept on dragging our feet, let me tell you the fact. Now, WTO and the WCO, World Customs Organization, both of them agree that the cost of not facilitating trade is between 10 to 15% of the total trade volume. Now, let me give you what that number looks like. Nigerian total trade volume in and out is about $120 billion. Now, 10% is $15 billion, $12 billion, and 15% is about $18 billion. So now, look at between 12 and 18%, 18 billion is what the private sector pays in penalty for not having trade facilitation. Can you imagine Nigeria, and this is year by year, can you imagine Nigerian government wanting to borrow $18 billion? There will be an outcry, just as we are having one now. So, but this is what the companies are suffering. Now, then the practical example, your goods have arrived in the seaport, you get a trailer that will go to bring your container, you pay them $350,000 to $500,000 a day to go there. They go there and they wait for the goods to be released. They go through scanning all of those shenanigans. Before it actually brings the thing out, it would have incurred 10 days of cost for you. For some, it could be anything between 3.5 million and 5 million. Now traders are voting with their feet. They rather go to Cotonou or go to Lomé and clear their goods in a single day and then truck the goods through their porous borders into the country. Customs lose the revenue. You understand? So this is the reason why we are having trade diversion. And you are blaming people. You don't blame yourself. That's the reason why we are having trade diversion. Because we just refuse. And the second point is, because all the other ECOWAS countries have done theirs, they are now to implement regional single window, which means with Nigeria on, then they can do implementation of this regional. Which means that if goods arrive in Ghana, in Tema, they can still go to Nigeria through the road. Because you have a single window, they will already appear on the screens, the manifest of all the countries of the transit corridor. So they already know, Togo knows that these goods are going to Nigeria. They come, they pass through, fine, that's okay. They're expecting it is up, we check. It passes through their border, passes through Benin border and lands in Nigeria. So all of those 18 different checkpoints, all that stuff, they're not necessary anymore. But that is the problem. And that's why we are suffering. That we are suffering that inefficiency. Now, another practical example, when Ghana wants to export 100 tons of cocoa, it costs them $7,000 to export 100 tons of cocoa. But when you're exporting the 700 tons, it costs $40,000. Why? Why is that? Is that how you facilitate trade? So all these octopuses sitting in the seaport and all of that, making trade impossible in Nigeria, they all have to find another job. And that's why the single window has to be there. Exactly.
Now, talking about the single window, the target is first quarter of 2026. Do you see this first quarter target being realized? Because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was so assertive. I mean, a few days back when he said it must work, he called the Federal Minister of Finance, the Federal Land Revenue, all these relevant stakeholders that are involved, including people like you together, and said, first target is first quarter of 2026. It must work. Do you see the possibility of any challenge before this implementation on first quarter of 2026?
No, let me begin by thanking the president, because I've always said everywhere that this president has no problem with political will. Let him know where the shoe bites. He takes action, decisive action. So I congratulate him. I also congratulate the Chief of Staff for reading the Rights Act. And then, of course, the Minister for Finance and the indefatigable Jumoke, Dr. Jumoke, Minister for me and her have been talking about this in the television. During the time of Muhammad Buhari and all that, when she was doing ease of doing business. So I'm glad that she's now there and she's fighting. The lady is fighting very hard, and I'm really appreciative. But what I should be saying is this: you don't work to meet a target. You work to beat the target.
Exactly.
Let them work to beat that target by December and not by January. They should beat it by December, so that if you miss that December, you will not miss January. That's the point. This thing is so long overdue. Over 10 years, over 15 years overdue. And we are still toying with the implementation. So let's press for an earlier date. Let them finish it, beat the target rather than meet the target.
Exactly. Now, Prof, if you are to
penalty.
Exactly. Prof, if you are to suggest to the president right now, because what you are putting up is quite very laudable, very instructive, that meeting the target is not the issue, but let them beat the target. But if you are to suggest to the president at this point in time that, although we foresee challenges, but for us not to encounter that challenges since 2010, 2011, that this has been on the table, what will you tell them to take on at this point in time?
It's only one answer. One answer is action, action, action. Because you see, these people, all these agencies benefit by intervening physically. But now, nobody will see, you never get, you know, to come that say corruption, if you fight corruption, if you fight you back.
Exactly.
You are now touching people at their comfort zone, and they will fight back. And the thing is, just tell our principals, Chief of Staff, Minister for Finance, and Minister for Trade and Industry, take serious action. Don't let them get away with it, because they will do everything to frustrate it, because that's where they'll be making all their money. But they will make more money. What they don't understand is, if this system works, our trade volume could double. The revenue coming to government could more than double. They will make more money in the end of the day. FIRS is going to make more money. The customs will make more money because of the percentage that they take. So that is the issue. They don't understand. But they rather corner you and cause all that massive wastage of $12 to $18 billion punishment to the private sector. And then you're not facilitating trade. That is not what it is.
Exactly. Now, Prof, let's quickly link your own pocket. All right, let's link this to the president's assumption also that it is also linked, NSW is linked to the new tax reform. Can you help us, draw a conclusion on that in regards to what is the link between this NSW and the new tax reform?
No, the new tax reform sits in front because it helps the small businesses to increase their turnover from 25 million to 50 million before they are exposed to tax. And also it allows them to get to increase their disposable income, and with that they can protect jobs, they can create more jobs, and they can invest more in aggregate output. So aggregate output is going to increase. When you facilitate the trade, you are making it easier for them to save money. They are going to save $12 to $18 billion. They are going to save, and they are also going to transfer all of that savings, or most of that savings, to lower prices of goods. Tell me why. If you import, remember when you struggle to get foreign exchange and then import, then all the extra charges they put onto you, you are going to transfer all those charges to the consumers. Now you won't have any excuse. So people can see the direct link between what that price was advertised and then your marginal increase, and not to see threefold increase in the price from where you bought this product. Because don't forget, when you go to internet, you are going to see the price of these goods in dollar and then see the corresponding price in naira. Not to see the naira price 3 times more than what it should be in dollar. Because you know that arbitrage is caused by all the inefficiencies in the port. So now we can hold them more to account, and then it will reduce their borrowing. A lot of the borrowing is actually when businesses are faced with those, then they run for emergency borrowing, and they are hammered with 6% a month, which is 72% a year. The short-term borrowing to be able to clear their goods. So there are many things that is going to bring them. Of course, the consumer is going to benefit, because the point about the new tax reform is that it enables the consumer, the household, to hold back much of their revenue, because they removed all those taxes that will go to health and education and food, and then also the taxes that come with the imported materials are going to be reduced. So they are going to get the benefit of that. And then with that disposable income increase, they can buy more products, and that means aggregate demand in the economy will go up, GDP goes up. So on both counts, both at the MSME, 42 million MSMEs and the 230 million Nigerians, as output increases, GDP increases, as consumption increases, GDP increases.
Exactly. Now,
So
Prof,
that's the major link.
exactly. There's also, so sorry, Prof, to cut in. There's something that the president was so very, very energetic about this NSW project. He said this will also enhance economic recovery in a way, particularly drawing in investment, boosting government revenue, as well as strategically pushing Nigerian economy to be credible on a global scale. What's your thought on that?
But this is quite right, because can you think of, when people, when in a boardroom abroad, in America, so they make an investment decision that they are going to invest $3 million in setting up this farm, this factory in Nigeria. And then suddenly they get to hear that, there may actually be $1 million dollar to be paid in Naira terms for clearing all these goods and for the delay in clearing them. And the delay may be 6 months before it gets to the factory. It could be 2 months where all they are agreeing with the customs and everybody. And then all that cost will come in. Then they will also tell them, wait a minute, sir. We also find out that we might spend $500,000 on infrastructure. They don't have electricity. And we are going to spend another $500,000 on getting road into the factory, and then no water. We are going to do it. They will say, forget that investment. They're not interested. They go to another country. That's what happens. They didn't budget for all this. There is security. You're going to employ more security staff. $250,000 will go on this security. They say, forget it. Forget it. Go to another country. And that's the thing. It's a highly competitive business. And the last thing you want to see is that your staff is going to get kidnapped, and then your goods will stay in the wharf. Do you know that these gas-powered stations that we are having, they stayed in the seaport for more than 5 years, agreeing with the customs, the IPP, those IPP machines for producing power, generating.
Exactly, integrated power project.
They have stayed there for more than 5 years, agreeing with the customs, and many of them got rotten, spoiled before they were. So a lot of things go on. And all these punishments are borne by the private sector. So investors are very, very wary about all that bureaucracy and bottlenecks. And so that happens. And of course, the people who are in the country, the recipients, are butchered. They are butchered. And they resort to go and patronize. Okay, look at Cotonou. We have 400,000 second-hand cars coming into Nigeria from Cotonou. Whereas the official imports from Lagos is only 200,000. Now, if it costs you $10,000 per car, which is very small, that we are linking $4 billion to importing cars, second-hand cars into the country through Cotonou. The issue is this: how much duty and tax does custom get from those cars? Nothing, because they come through the porous borders in the middle of the night. They will queue up. If you look through satellites, you will see dotted lights. Those are hundreds of cars lined up, going through Okerete, going up through the north and coming into the northern borders. And the custom just collect a few bobs and they drive in. So the custom don't get the revenue. But then the Benin authorities collect all the taxes, because they will not accept them as transit goods, because Nigeria is not playing ball. So they will collect all the taxes, the taxes that would have been collected by Nigerian government, by Nigerian customs, and then they now have the details. They just smuggle it in. I mean, this is trade diversion, and it's a hemorrhage on our income.
Exactly. Prof, I can take you on and all, but time constraint, we'll leave it at this. But I know it's a developing issue, and I believe that before December 2025, we may still have to come back, because I know there's not going to be another, sixth steering committee meeting on SWA in Nigeria. So we may come back to this discussion once again. But thank you for your very instructive thoughts on the discussion today, National Single Window Project of the Federal Government of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much. They shouldn't forget there's also a regional single window.
Exactly. Prof, the issue is that we have issues to discuss, particularly after African Free Continental Trade is also tied to this. But I believe that when we come again, we'll take a look at that all together.
Thank you very much.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day, sir.